What's up, guys? Welcome to Box to Box Football, and I'm back here with something completely different today. No tier list, no Jack, just me. And last week I watched a Pele documentary on Netflix, just looking through his whole career, and it made me just realize and understand how great Pele was. And at the time, I was quite ignorant towards like footballers in the 70s and in 60s. But me going back and watching Pele and understanding the greatness that he showed at that time made me realize that he is the greatest, perhaps. He is the greatest of his generation, or perhaps the greatest of all time. Now, we can have that debate. But I realized that a lot of people in the world are quite ignorant towards Pele and what he's done, the fact he's never played in Europe. He just wasn't as great as Messi and Ronaldo are today, but it really bugs me. It like really bugs me for people to say that, because I you know me, I'm not a fan of comparing generations. But I came across this video on YouTube from a YouTuber called Raymar. He's quite a big YouTuber, to be fair, but he has a video on saying why Pele is the most overrated footballer ever. Now, I'm about to react to this video and see what he has to say there, and perhaps challenge him in everything he has to say. So guys, let's get cracking and let's see what my man has to say. You guys ready? Let's go.
Pele is one of the most iconic football players who have ever lived. He is a national hero in Brazil, has unbelievable records under his name, and countless people worldwide consider him the greatest player to ever step foot on the pitch. So would you believe me if I told you that Pele is actually the most overrated footballer of all time? Hey guys, what's up? It's Raymar back again for another video, and today we're gonna look at why Pele is the most overrated footballer of all time. But before you hit that dislike button and call me an idiot in the comment section, I just want to say that
because I'm reacting to his video, guys, go ahead and subscribe to him. Also subscribe to here too. Also definitely subscribe to Box Football. You know, let's get it to 200 and then
am in no way trying to disrespect Pele or the impact that he had on football. So just watch till the very end to see all the information before you start to hate. So with that being said, let's get on to it.
Let's see.
For as long as I can remember, the idea that Pele was undoubtedly the greatest player ever just seemed to be taken in as a fact, and nobody really questioned why. Whenever names like Maradona, Messi, Ronaldo, or any other footballing icons are brought up, Pele always seems to be the benchmark or standard by which fans use to judge these players. Even a young 17-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo has stated that Pele is the greatest player in football history. Well, Ronaldo was born in 1985, and by that time, Pele had already been retired for 8 years. So the question remains to even you guys watching out there: how can you call someone the greatest of all time if you've never even seen them play? So to break down why...
I mean, he does make a good point there. Like, you've never seen a lot of people play. No one ever. How many people seen Michael Jordan play? Or seen, I don't know, who's got another this, bro? Babe Ruth in baseball. That's that's for all the American guys. There's a lot of guys that you don't see play, but you go back and you hear about them, you hear about their greatness. So it's a good point, but also like a lot of people.
Pele is the most overrated footballer ever. Let's begin with his unreal and almost godlike record of scoring 1,283 goals, which is the most recorded by any footballer in history. However, the truth is that 526, or roughly 40% of those goals, were not actually scored in official matches. Those goals were actually scored in friendlies, exhibitions, and tour games against below-average teams and players. Even unofficial games like the ones recorded against the Brazilian Coast Guard were counted towards his goal tally. Pele's...
Yeah, I was gonna say, guys, yeah, Pele's goal tally is quite interesting. You know, he believes that he scored 1,000 goals, and like if he does. He does, you know, according to football, he's what, 757? That's not bad. That's amazing.
official record is 757 goals in 812 appearances,
which is not
don't
quite
get me
shabby, let's be
wrong,
honest.
is of course still legendary, one of the best goal scoring ratios of all time. However, if you look at the score sheet, you'll notice just how skewed some of these scores are in games that Pele scored more than 3 goals. We can see his team dominating their opponents with scores like 11-0, 11-1, and 10-0. Also, if you look at the clubs they're against, you'll probably notice Nacional, Juventus, and Botafogo.
Wait. He's saying that, but how many times do we see Messi and Ronaldo fill up stat sheets in games too, where they score 5 and like 5-6 and like hat tricks in an 8-2 win or a 7-0 win? I mean, you score goals. Now, I do believe the goals are like, especially the way it is now, like nowadays in football, goals are just ostracized. You're seeing Lewandowski putting up these insane numbers, and he's more goals than greats like Henry and like R9. But if you score, you score.
But those aren't the actual club giants. He never scored 5 goals against the Juventus in Italy or 5 goals against the Nacional in Uruguay. But he did score on the ones with the same name that played for the Brazilian league. On to my next point is that
I'm glad he brought that up, because he said Pele never scored against them teams like Juventus and then the other team from Uruguay. But Pele did score against Benfica, and at time a Benfica team with like Eusebio in the UEFA International Cup. He scored 5 goals in 2 games. He scored 2 in the first game and a hat-trick in the second game. And then the year after, he played against Inter Milan. Yes, the Inter Milan. He scored 2 goals, and Santos ended up going on to win the competition. So don't act like he hasn't scored against European teams. He has.
overall competition and level of football that Pele was playing against at the time was not very exceptional at all. Back in Pele's era, the overall standard and quality of football was not as good. Pele was an exceptional player in that generation because of how he transformed the game. It's no surprise that the nature of football or any other sport, just like with everything else in the world, increases in quality as time goes on due to factors like technological advancement, better understanding, and new styles being developed. If you've been paying attention to the level of defense being played, it was hardly impressive. In that era, only a handful of players really stood out. There weren't many elite defenders in that era, but to be fair, Pele was a generational talent that had never been seen before, being an exceptional offensive talent with that flair and touch that just seems to come natural to many Brazilian talents in today's game. In fact, Pele's style of play actually bridged the term joga bonito, or the beautiful game, to the football world. But a good question you should ask yourself is, could Pele actually do this against defenders like Sergio Ramos, Paulo Maldini, Fabio Cannavaro, or other elite defenders that came so...
That type of argument, I just don't like it, because them guys already had like 5 to 10, around 20 years plus of football behind them to work on, while Pele literally just started at that time. Pele was virtually the one who made football, you know. Players like Sergio Ramos, he's had 70 years of seeing all different types of tactics and like all types of ways to defend. He's also humans, also developed like during that time. And say that he didn't go against tough competition. If you remember, guys, 2 of the greatest defenders were played in Pele's era. Franz Beckenbauer and Bobby Moore. And Franz Beckenbauer is considered the greatest defender of all time. And Pele played against him and had a field day against both of them. Now, not like he destroyed them, but he had his fair share of wins. So don't act like Pele didn't do it against tough competition. I mean, the competition he played at that time was the best. You know, the South America, the Brazilian league was the best at that time.
much longer after he had retired. I mean, try naming even a couple of elite defenders in Pele's time, and if you can't, then go ahead and hit that like button. Also,
fans
Pele's
spoken about.
FIFA World Cup achievements aren't as marvelous as everyone is led to believe. Although he does have the most finals wins, many people believe that he also held the record for the most goals scored. But that record actually belongs to Ronaldo the Fenomeno. Or that was until Germany's Miroslav Klose broke the record in 2014.
Well, I think when he retired, he did hold the record. And the thing about records is that they're meant to be broken. So since then, it's been broken 3 times. And one of them, like recently, by Miroslav Klose. And when you look at the two, that are ahead of him, Miroslav Klose has 24 games, and Brazilian Ronaldo has 19 games compared to Pele's, I think, 14 games that he played. So it's hard to balance when they've played that many more games than Pele.
The most World Cup games won also belongs to fellow Brazilian Cafu with 16.
Messi,
in fact,
I told you,
Pele
he
was
only played like
actually
14
outperformed
games.
in all 3 of his World Cup final wins and really only won 2 World Cups. In his first World Cup final win in 1958, his teammate Didi was voted the player of the tournament. In his second World Cup win in 1962, he was injured and didn't even play any significant minutes, while his teammate Garrincha led Brazil.
Okay, this argument right here, it's understandable, but then if we're going to use the argument from Pele, that since he got injured, he only won 2 World Cups, then technically, Messi, to a lot of people, won 4 Champions Leagues. But if you remember, guys, in his first Champions League win in 2006, he was injured and missed, I think, the semi-finals and the finals. So technically, he only won 3. Are we going to do that to Messi? Ronaldo, most famously, in the Euro 2016, he got injured in the final and didn't play. And he played, but only 6 minutes. Are we going to take away Ronaldo missing the final and say that he didn't win for Portugal? Come on, I feel like that's such an unfair comparison. He was a part of the team, and if he was fit, he would have helped them. But
to a win with some breathtaking performances. And on his third and final World Cup win in 1970, which was the first ever World Cup to be broadcasted in full color, Pele wasn't even Brazil's top goal scorer. The honor actually belongs to his teammate Jairzinho, who scored 7 goals in the tournament. So I read many Brazilians are...
Also, if you go back and watch them, if you go back and actually watch that whole tournament, yeah, Pele wasn't the top scorer, but look how many times he assisted. Look how many times he was a part of the play that led to the goal. The Jairzinho goal that he scored against England, that was Pele's setup that led to the goal. So it's not always about scoring. Maradona in the final for Argentina in 1986, he didn't have the greatest game in the final, but he helped set up the winning goal, and he had, to me, the greatest World Cup performance of all time. So it's not always about scoring goals.
Actually aware of these facts. It's more common knowledge for them, but to everyone else, Pele's name just seems to be on a whole nother level. Apparently, if you ask any Brazilian who their greatest players are, you're likely to hear Jairzinho, Garrincha, or Zizinho. In fact, on my video about the tragic story of Robinho, there are quite a few Brazilian viewers saying how Pele is crazy and that nobody really pays attention to the things he says. Which, if you do want to watch, is on the top right corner of your screen right now or the first link in the description. Interestingly enough, in 2002, a year where Brazil won the World Cup, their coach Luiz Scolari said that he believes Pele knows nothing about football. By the 1970s,
Wait, what's that? What does that have to do with it? Felipe Scolari saying, but yeah, okay, that's his opinion. He was also the same guy that led Brazil to a 7-1 defeat against Germany at home. So are we gonna discount him for that? Okay, let's move on.
Pele was world-renowned, being the second most recognizable name in Europe, second only to Coca-Cola. Pele was so famous that his club Santos took him out on multiple world tours to play exhibition matches and friendlies because so many people would pay to see him play. even if he was against absolute scrubs. And this is where most of his 500 plus unofficial goals would come from. He would play more than 100 games touring around Europe, and maybe this is how he earned such a legendary status. Every time Pele went on a tour, there would be newspaper articles and columns that circulated all over the world, not only in Europe. He was a walking box office hit. Each tour he went on increased not only his fame, but his seemingly legendary goal-scoring record. And maybe it's because of this that people would spread his name and tie it to being the greatest of all time. In all honesty, it just seems to me like the older generations talking about Pele as the best ever has...
Did you guys hear about the rumor that Pele helped stop the war? I think he went to one country, I think in Africa, and like helped stop the war, like when he came to come play. I don't know if that was true, but I guess there's the power of the man at that time.
Kinda just been passed down and blindly accepted. Pele did impact the game and bring football into a whole new level, bringing even more popularity and interest in the sport. I guess you could say Pele is the grandfather of football. And maybe you as a football fan consider him the greatest ever simply because of all this. And don't get me wrong, Pele was the most dominant player in his era and was immensely gifted for his time. He is the all-time leading goal scorer for Brazil with 77 official goals, holds the record for the most hat-tricks with 92, the youngest to ever score a goal in the FIFA World Cup, and the youngest to score a hat-trick in the World Cup. He is in FIFA's 100 Greatest Footballers list, was the FIFA Player of the Century, and was also included in Time magazine's 100 Most Important People of the 20th Century. Anyways, the purpose of this video is to just inform you guys about a lot of misconceptions surrounding Pele's career and to basically give you a rundown of why I believe Pele is the most overrated footballer of all time. But again, I just want to say that I am in no way trying to disrespect Pele and what he has done for the world and for football. Because Pele is an amazing person still traveling the world and acting as an ambassador for the sport. It's definitely not a bad thing for the younger people to learn more about such an iconic figure. I mean, who knows? Maybe in 20 years the younger generation won't even consider Pele's name in the conversation for who was the greatest player of all time. I definitely believe that that debate will be between Messi or Ronaldo. But let's save that topic for another video. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end of this video.
Interesting. Me watching that, did it change my view on Pele? On him being overrated? Or is he overrated? No. I do think Pele's one of the greatest of all time. The way, the perception of him and his generation is quite unfair. Like there's a whole debate on Pele never came to England, or not. I mean, never came to Europe and played. For nowadays, we know that Europe is the place to be to prove yourself as like as the greatest. Just like in America, you have to go to America to prove that you're the best player in the best basketball player in the world. But at that time, like especially around that time for Pele, he had no reason to go over to Europe to show that he was the best, because Brazil, they had the best players, you know, and also the best teams. Let me show you this. Let me tell you about this interesting stat right there. We know the Club World Cup, and it's, to a lot of people, it crowns the best team in the world. So team from Europe, team from South, winners from Europe, the Champions League winner from Europe, the Copa Libertadores winner, the Asian Cup winner, and then the African Cup winner. They all come together to see who is the best team in the world. And usually European sides win. I think in the last 11 years, only one South American team has been able to win. Every other time, it has been a team from Europe every single year. So you can see the dominance. But back in Pele's time, especially like when it started in 1960, and if I remember, 6 of the winners were from South American teams, and only 5 were from Europe. So that just shows you, like, it wasn't all Europe was the best. It was a quite balanced playing field, and like wherever you played, was at that time the best league. Brazil is South America, best best league, best players. But again, Pele is not overrated. For what he did in his generation, he is the greatest of his generation. And a lot of people will say that he changed football for the better. He did things that we take for granted right now, but at that time was just like, wow. Shooting from the halfway line, we never seen that before. Bicycle kicks, we never seen that before. Guys getting, remember the dummy against Uruguay? We never seen that before. He brought that to the game. He changed the game for the better. He is perhaps the greatest of all time. We'll have that debate on who is the greatest of all time one day, but to say he's overrated, I just can't have it. But guys, tell me what you think. If you want to see me do more reviews like this, react to videos, let me know, guys. Comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. We're on the road to 200 subscribers, so please help us get there. Thanks for watching. This is Box to Box Football, and we will see you next time.